right, good morning guys. Good to see you today. Today we are going to be doing our first of our 5 mother sauces, a modern sauce tomat. Now traditionally sauce tomat is a tomato sauce that is thickened with white roux. Today we're going to be doing a more modern version of that where instead of thickening through a roux, we're going to be thickening through reduction. So what you're going to need as far as ingredients is you're going to need 1 tablespoon or about half of an ounce of extra virgin olive oil. Now, if you don't have extra virgin olive oil, you can use just regular oil. That is fine. 2 cloves of garlic, and we're going to mince that. Half of a yellow onion. A generous pinch of red pepper flakes. A teaspoon of dried oregano. 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, tomato paste, what this is, it's a small can of tomatoes that have been cooked down to the point where it becomes a very thick paste. Very flavorful, very useful in a lot of applications. Today we're going to be using the fact that it's a lot of concentrated tomato flavor. We're going to be using that to our advantage today. Then you're going to need a 28-ounce can of tomatoes. Now here I'm going to be using whole tomatoes. My opinion, that is the best product to use. If you do not have that or you do not have a blender, then what you can use is just the crushed tomatoes. That's fine. What I did is I just took a stick blender, blended these tomatoes up, pureed them. Just either or is fine. The only thing you just want to avoid is tomato puree or tomato sauce in the can. So put that to the side. Okay, kosher salt, and then in the fridge right now is 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, half an ounce. All right, so we're gonna go to our first step here, which is I'm gonna turn the pot onto about medium-low heat, and I'm going to crush the garlic and sweat that for about 3 to 5 minutes here. So I'm just taking my knife, slicing the root end off. And then what I'm going to do, just like before, is in our other labs, I'm going to put the garlic down, put my blade right on top, and then just very carefully press down and just crush it. Same thing with the next other clove, just crush it, and I'm just going to finely mince that up. All right, and there we have it. So I'm going to add in a tablespoon or 2 of my olive oil. Going to add in the garlic. I'm going to sweat that over pretty low heat here. You shouldn't have a lot of sizzling. Shouldn't be any browning whatsoever. Just a little bit. I'm going to add a pinch of kosher salt here. And then I'm just going to stir that together. Let that sweat for about 3 minutes or so. And then I'll go to the next part here, which is to add my red pepper flake. All right, so I've moved the camera here. Now, my garlic is browning a little bit. That's not ideal. You probably want to cook it a little less than that. But anyway, I'm just going to keep going here. So I'm going to add a pinch of red pepper flake and then my teaspoon of dried oregano. Now here, I'm just going to swirl that together for about a minute until I can smell the herbs and the spices. That smells really good. So I'm going to go to my next step. So step 1 is to sweat the garlic over low heat. Then step 2 is to add the dried oregano and the red pepper flake. Step 3 is to add the tomato paste. Okay, just taking that off the heat a little bit here. Okay, and you're just going to cook this for about a minute or so, just until the tomatoes are blended in with the oil here. You just want to cook out some of the raw tomato flavor that's in the paste. Just kind of cook that out before adding in anything else. So, it's starting to smell really good. I wish you guys could smell this, but if you cook it at home, obviously you'll be able to. Alright, so you can see the tomato paste has cooked down a little bit. It's a little bit darker. So now I'm going to go to my next step, which is to add in my tomatoes and the half of an onion. Now, if you are allowed to at home, one thing you can add here is a little splash, about half a cup of white wine, and then cook that down. What the wine will do is it has alcohol in it, and it'll actually bring out some of the alcohol-soluble flavors that are in tomatoes. If you do that, what you want to do is just cook the sauce down until there's only a little bit of wine left in the sauce before you add in tomatoes. Otherwise, the sauce will have this kind of raw bite to it that you don't want it to have. So, obviously, since we're here at Heights and here at the school, I'm not going to use wine. I'm just going to add in my tomatoes. I'm going to add in the onion. Now the onion's there just to kind of infuse the sauce with just kind of that flavor. And now from here, I'm going to simmer this, not at a full rolling boil, but just a bare simmer. I'm going to do this for about 30 to 45 minutes, just stirring it every once in a while until the sauce thickens, smells delicious, and becomes slightly rich. So after that point, we will adjust our seasoning from there. So just as far as how to get the sauce to a simmer quickly, I'm just putting it on high heat, and then when I start to see some bubbles, I'm just gonna lower the heat until I just see a couple little bubbles every now and again. All right, so you can see the sauce is bubbling a little bit. You're just gonna keep it kind of at that level. You don't want this at a full rolling boil, make a mess out of your kitchen. Plus, not to mention it'll scorch on the bottom. So just let it simmer like this, stirring every once in a while until the sauce is reduced. All right, the sauce has been cooking for a little over half an hour. By the way, just a small tip here. Whatever you use to, whatever can you have, a good way to keep the spatula from dirtying up your kitchen is just have it into the can itself. As you can see, I let it kind of get away from me as far as boiling and made a little bit of a splatter, but that's okay. I'm going to clean that up. All right, so from here, we're going to go on to the last step, which is I'm going to add in my half an ounce or tablespoon of butter. This will add just a little bit of richness to the sauce. I'm also going to take out the onion here. It has given up quite a bit of flavor here. And now, the most important step here is you have to taste the sauce at this point. Every can of tomatoes is going to taste a little bit different. Some are going to have a lot more acidity to them. Some are going to be pretty mellow. So what you need to do is you need to taste this and taste for salt, taste for acidity, though to be fair, tomatoes are pretty acidic, so you probably aren't going to need to put any vinegar or anything in there. But also you need to taste for sweetness as well. Okay, if you have tomatoes that are particularly sharp, then you need to balance it with sugar. If you taste it and its acidity is there, its sweetness, it has that hint of sweetness there, but still missing something, you may need to add salt. If you taste it and it's really like thin and watery, then just let it cook down for another 10 minutes or so. Oops, just spilled a lot there. All right, so I'm going to taste this real quick. Stand away from the sauce since you don't want to be eating in the kitchen. Or at least our kitchens here at Heights. Obviously at home you can do whatever you want. Actually, that's pretty close. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar. It's pretty good. I'm actually gonna add in just another little pat of butter just because it has a little bit of sharpness, a little bit of acidity there that I just kind of want to round off with a little bit of fat. But yeah, after that, you have a modern sauce tomat. You can use this for pasta, spaghetti. We're going to use it in a chicken parm. All right, now this is mother sauce number 1. From here, you have so many different variations. If you want to take this into a cream sauce, all you need to do is just swirl in a little bit of cream and just kind of cook that down. You can make a penne alla vodka sauce by right at the stage where we have our tomato paste, add in a glug, obviously with your parents' permission, a bit of vodka, let that cook down, then you put in your tomatoes, cream, and let that reduce down. Great with penne pasta and bacon. But yeah, from here, there's all different things you can do with the tomato sauce. Just remember, if you are cooking this at home, do not put this pot in your fridge pot right now as is. You definitely want to let this cool down before you do that. So, all right, from there, our next lab will be our chicken parm. If you have any questions, just let me know.